This afternoon, my name is Kriya Gangya with Astrid Asgar. It is your business till 12 o'clock this afternoon, brought to you by FNB Business. And today we're talking technology, and we're talking how transport is getting into the new digital space. And we are joined by the amazing people from Uber. We're joined by Clementine Mabena and Alon Litz from Uber. Welcome, guys.
Hi,
Hi,
how you
thanks for
doing,
having
Kriya?
us.
Hi, Astrid.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about Uber, because just going it with the name Uber, we don't exactly know what it is. Alon, tell us a bit about the brand.
So Uber is a technology company that was founded in San Francisco in 2009, and we see ourselves at the crossroad between technology and lifestyle. So we've got an application. It's available in the iStore as well as in the Play Store. We also have a Mobi website, m.uber.com. And if you register with Uber, you have the ability to request a private driver on demand.
Okay, so pretty much it's taking an application where you can request a driver, pretty much.
So exactly, our technology enables drivers to pick up riders across Johannesburg. We also operational in Durban and Cape Town at the moment, as well as 47 other cities across the world. So the clients can request a driver using the application.
Okay.
It's the same experience whether you're in Joburg, London, Paris, New York, the same technology.
Clementine, let me put a question to you. Where did the idea to bring this to South Africa, make it available to South Africans, where did that start? I mean, what is it that's telling you Uber is going to work in South Africa?
Thanks, Astrid. I think one of the things that we're all aware of in South Africa is the fact that transport and getting around in most of our major cities is a pain.
Complete nightmare.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, especially over the past few days with the so-called floods and the M1 closing down yesterday, getting around is just impossible, virtually impossible. So when you come up with a solution that allows people to access public transport, so to speak, so efficiently, with knowing that there is a lot of safety and security and reliability that comes into the fold, it just makes Joburg and Cape Town and Durban the most wide open market.
Okay, so a practical question then. I put this to both of you, Alon or Clementine. You mentioned it's available in the store, so presumably it's an app I downloaded onto my smartphone. But a lot of people who are relying on the public transport in South Africa, and I'm sure you've heard this question before, are sitting on feature phones and won't necessarily have access to an app. Are there plans for that?
So it's a very valid point, and I guess a reality in South Africa, and as we move upwards into Africa. The truth is that technology exists within Uber to make bookings using feature phones via SMS. Right now, we haven't rolled out that functionality to the South African market, but definitely on our radar down the line.
Well, fantastic to know that it's on your radar, because that's where a lot of players go wrong in this space, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity, and we'd be wrong to miss that opportunity. And we also want to add value to everyone in the market. We really are everyone's private driver.
Speaking about being everyone's private driver, how does it come down to the South African that it can afford it? How can they afford it? Because what are your pricing structures like? How does that work?
So pricing is different across the three cities, and we work based on a premium to taxi pricing in that city. So in Cape Town, for example, you're not going to pay more than 50 Rand to get pretty much anywhere in Cape Town, just given that taxi prices in Cape Town are really cheap and distances are really short. In Joburg, when we're talking about a much bigger city, distances traveled are a lot higher. The base pricing for Joburg is 60 Rand. Over and above that, if you're traveling above 18 kilometers per hour, we're looking at 10 Rand 90 per kilometer. If you're traveling below 18 kilometers per hour, we're looking at 3 Rand 90 per minute. So it's an either or model depending on how quickly you're traveling.
So if you're stuck in traffic.
So let's take an example, because it's quite difficult for listeners sometimes to figure, to follow all the numbers. But if I was traveling from Oliver Tambo Airport, let's say, to Sandton City shopping mall.
So one great thing about the app, you have the ability to request a fare estimate using the application. So when you set your pickup location, that's your starting point. When you then request a pickup using the application, you can then set your drop-off location, and the app will then calculate a range of fares. For ORT, that's an easy one. We have fixed pricing. That's 550 Rand to and from, well, in one direction. That's regardless of how many people you have in the car. So it's a fixed rate to the airport. Another example, if we're looking to go from Sandton to the Joburg CBD, you're looking between 250 to 270 Rand. So it is relatively expensive, but that is on par with other taxi prices in South Africa. City cabs, for example, they've got base pricing of 75 Rand, which includes 3 free kilometers, and then it's 13 Rand per kilometer thereafter. So you guys can work it out. It is a slight premium, but we're talking a much more premium service offering. All the drivers are professionally dressed. They've been professionally trained. We're talking about premium vehicles. That's Mercedes, BMW, Audi. When you get to the car, the driver will open up the door for you. Water's in the back of the
like
car.
your private chauffeur service.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. Clementine, luxury vehicles. Alon's mentioned 3 brands.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to go to the airport. I'm a lady and I pack a lot, let's say. Are these cars going to be the kind of sporty luxury vehicles or big enough to take all the luggage and if there is a whole family?
They're definitely big enough. We don't have any sports models, as in like little tiny sports cars out just yet. But the cars that we have generally do accommodate 4 passengers, one in the front. Sorry, yeah, 4 passengers, one in the front, 3 at the back. So it's pretty much comfortable and big enough for anybody, for a family, an average size family.
And how are you getting the message out to the public? What are the marketing initiatives that you've undertaken?
One of the best things about Uber is the fact that it's viral. That's how it started, really. It started as just something amongst friends, and then people found out about it through word of mouth, and that's how we conduct Uber throughout all the different cities. Our Twitter handle is at Uber_Joburg, Joburg. So that's how we do a lot of our marketing. You communicate with us directly. I'm the community manager, so I handle that account.
So you handle the social media
I handle the social
strategy
media.
and marketing.
Exactly.
So you're a great lady to invite back into the studio.
Yeah.
And we can share some tips and advice and insights and have some conversations about your experiences for
Definitely.
small business owners who are wanting to get their heads around digital marketing.
Exactly.
I actually have a question. Uber in the States, or at the moment, I think it is the States, was having a bit of a problem over the last 2 years when it came to Uber as a service and metered taxi cabs, if you want to call it that. Now, you guys provide the exact same service, but you use your own personal drivers. Do you foresee that happening in South Africa as well, where the metered companies that are already in place will have that same battle as they are having overseas?
Okay, so one thing which is important to note, Uber does not employ the drivers and we don't own the cars. We really just give the drivers the technology to connect with riders across Johannesburg.
But will you accredit them in some way?
We'll-
So I know
well,
that if I'm coming
100%,
to
that's
Uber, there's a certain standard and
Yes,
a certain level
100%.
of service.
Safety of riders in Ubers is of absolute importance to us. All the drivers are screened and vetted before they get onto the system. Another great thing about Uber is that you can rate your driver after your trip. So very similar to a TripAdvisor concept for drivers. So if you have a bad experience with the driver, we'll know about that straight away. You can give him a low rating, give us a reason why, and give some additional feedback. We'll then follow up straight away.
So you're saying if there is any kind of kickback on that whole landscape, it's not.
So just going to the regulatory environment. In the States, the taxi industry is really tightly controlled by very influential families, in essence, in the different states across the US.
Making it sound like some kind of mafia setup.
That's not a joke, actually.
When you use the word control and families in the same sentence.
We've heard some horror stories about what's actually happened in the States, just given all the pushback from the industry. But I think as soon as you're talking about disruptive technology coming in to shake up a market, making it more efficient and giving guys an easier way to get around, there's going to be pushback. We had to make it easier for commuters to get around South Africa, and potentially even more importantly, we had to create jobs for drivers. We had to increase their revenue and enable them to manage their time more effectively.
And how will you make your money? I mean, how will the customer pay you?
So it's completely seamless. When you register with Uber, you upload your credit card details. You can actually take a picture of your credit card, and your credit card details will be loaded onto the system. The best part probably about it, and this is the thing I love the most, at the end of the trip, the driver literally hits end trip, and it's billed automatically to your card.
How is that secure on an app? Because we all know that when it comes to technology and credit cards and PCI, it's never 110,000% secure.
Okay. So just on that, we're dealing with millions of customers globally. Obviously, that's a fortune of credit card information. The whole credibility of the company lies in our ability to keep that information secure. So we use a third-party provider called Braintree, one of the leading providers globally to store that credit card information. We don't have access to any of that information. If anyone does have any concerns, they can email us directly and we can send you links and make you more comfortable. But really, the whole credibility of the company on a global level rests on our ability to keep that information safe. And it's a top priority for us.
Clementine, a final question for you from me. You talk about being the community manager, and obviously, we all hear the buzzwords and we know about building a community and a loyal base of fans, etc., etc. I'm quite keen to know, what are people saying about the Uber service? I mean, you're the one who's really at ground level there hearing what people are saying.
You just put a smile on my face. The response to Uber has been insane. Thank you to everybody who signed in on the service, even if you haven't registered just yet, and I know you will. Thank you for following us on Twitter. The responses, the retweets, the replies to our tweets, all of that, it's been insane. Everybody is loving the service at the moment. Obviously, you get a few people who are not convinced in the beginning, but it doesn't take long to convert them. So we've got a lot of Twitter banter going on with a lot of really great brands that we've partnered with, as well as celebrities who've used the service and swear by it. We had DJ Tira actually ride. He had the first Uber ride in Durban. Mark Fish was the first one to ride in Joburg. And in Cape Town was Brendan Paulser. So the response, I mean, if you think about the caliber of people who've taken these rides and tweeted, and the following that they come with, and the response from them, in effect, has just been beautiful. Thank you.
Your timing's great, because we're coming up to
Holiday
season, and we all know what that means, right?
Cape Town and Durban.
Yeah, and they have given us Balls listeners something really nice. So go and check out our Twitter feed. There's a very nice special that's up if you are a Balls radio listener. So all the details are on our Twitter feed, so you can go and check that out. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to us. We really appreciate it. You guys, of course, are an international company, an international brand owned by Google. We are later in the show going to be speaking to a South African brand that was created and built in South Africa. And like I said, thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate it.
And we'll catch up with you in a few months' time, see how it's going.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us.
And we look forward to hearing your feedback about your first Uber trip.
Yes, I'm very excited to go try
Don't
my
forget
first
to
Uber
use
trip.
it.
Yes, definitely.
The Business. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on bulls.co.za. Brought to you by FNB Business Banking.